Welcome back to the High Standards Group YouTube channel.
We're here to talk about this guy. So in here we've got the Archon Firearms by PTR. What the fuck is this?
How did that get in there, dude?
Get this
I've been
shit
looking
outta
for
here.
this.
And so,
You want one?
just to show that this is clear. So full disclosure, right off the bat, this firearm was lent to us by Rain 6, and there was no exchange of money or anything like that. However, I am currently helping them with their social media, so take that for what it's worth. But as you'll see it as it is right now, we've got the Archon Type B. This is just their standard model with the Iron Horse Firearms Compensator, 9mm. In case you haven't seen any other reviews out there. But honestly, just get this out of the way right now. I really like this gun.
It's a really good shooting gun. I like it a lot. You'll see in future or past videos my kind of complaints or my gripes about it being with the safety. Not that that's a deal breaker, but just
Mag
where...
release.
Yeah, sorry, with the mag release. Not that it's a deal breaker, but just where the two of us together have been shooting this gun. We're not going to switch it around every time we shoot it. So that has been one kind of issue for me. But again, you can switch the mag release if you're a left-handed shooter to where it's a non-problem. But other than that, it's a really good shooting gun. The bore axis, the recoil impulse, the texturing on it, the trigger is, again, we're not being compensated to say good or bad about it. This is just our honest review of the gun itself. But it's a very cool gun. It's a cool platform. It's comparable to the size of the Glock 19 without the compensator on. The compensator is this piece right here. So without the compensator, the slide and the grip, again, is comparable to the size of a Glock 19, so you could carry it, but at the same time, you can put it on a belt, use it at competitions, the range, etc. So it's actually a very cool gun. Good shooting, very smooth. And do you want to talk about the barrel, how it doesn't...
Yes.
So on Glocks, you get your barrel tip, where it tips up every time the slide cycles. But this is a fixed barrel, so it's not tipping as you're shooting the gun. Yeah,
so they don't use the Browning design. This is what's called the fast lock system. And so as you'll see, the barrel is still straight. Hopefully you can see.
And that's why they're able to use this
low
style of
design.
well, yeah, and the style of the compensator.
Yeah. So this being a low bore axis gun, something that's becoming more popular, something like the Logo Arms Alien. There is also, oh my gosh. But Glocks in general are a low bore axis gun. They're not as low bore axis as this, or like the Logo Arms, because they still use a Browning system. So you'd have to kind of redesign the inside of the gun to get something like this, which they did, which is how they got it. Now you were mentioning it's comparable to the Glock 19. Now in terms of the frame or the grip size, it is, but when you get to the point where it's the barrel length,
it is a little bit longer.
It's about a Glock 17. So you get kind of that thing that people have always wanted, where they want a Glock 19 frame with a 17 slide.
Yeah.
So you do kind of get that with this.
For extra velocity.
Yeah, and all that accuracy.
Because an extra inch to half inch.
Right.
Half inch to an inch. Makes a big difference when you're shooting 9mm as far as velocity goes.
Well,
right?
people think that they're also going to be able to get noticeable changes in accuracy.
Or that they're going to have to make a shot at 150 yards with a handgun.
And maybe you will. Who am I to say you won't? I can't tell the future, but a lot of these arguments are starting to split hairs. Just run your shit.
That's
Honestly,
really what it comes down to at the
run
end
your
of the
fucking
day.
gun,
You
man.
can split hairs all day long and argue in the comment section, but ultimately what it comes down to is whatever you train with or whatever you carry, more so to say, make sure that you practice with it and train with it and get familiar and comfortable with it so that you can perform with it if, again, God forbid, the situation rises.
Yeah, it's really just that simple. Just get out and train. And even if you're not getting out and training, dry fire.
And it's
Just
free.
become familiar.
The elites don't want you to know that, but dry fire is free.
100%. It is 100% free. Now, the few
No taxes included either.
None, not a single tax.
No.
Now,
No tea will be thrown in the harbor over this.
some more of the features of this is you get a really long beaver tail on the back here.
To eliminate slide bite for those of you that have big hands. I don't have big hands, so I don't have to worry about that with Glocks. Well, that's a thing.
With this being designed the way it is, you can really choke up there, and you could very easily, if this wasn't here, get a slide bite. There's no doubt. You also get, I want to make sure you see I'm not flagging you, Alex, but there is
Oh, you just flagged me.
There's this, there's this little piece that sticks out right here. Now what that does, what it's designed to do is to actually, kind of hit your tendon right here and help your hand close up and get a tighter grip. If I'm being honest, I don't know that I noticed it on...
Honestly, I didn't even notice that until you just pointed it out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I noticed it when I was holding it. I know it's what it's designed to do. It doesn't bother me. It's not a hindrance.
It's not in the way or anything.
No, but I don't know that it's doing, for me, what it's supposed to do. Now, I could be gripping it wrong, for all I know. I mean, I had no problem with controlling the gun when I was shooting it. And we'll have to do a little of that here, but it, honestly, it's a good gun. A few of the drawbacks, though, are one thing that I've heard other people bring up is the price.
That's what I was going to ask. How much are these, like, if you were to just walk into your local gun shop and buy one?
Just a stock, like this one without the compensator.
Yeah, iron sights, no comp.
$900.
So that is
quite
a bit more than, again, for easy comparison, your standard Glock 19.
Right. It's about $400. Well, hold on. If we're being honest, it's probably about $250 to $300 more than your standard Glock.
If you want to get in the nitty gritty, you could buy a lot of ammo and train with it for the difference between the two.
You could, but now.
But these are also kind of like a niche gun. Like they have their own sort of following that are loyal to the brand itself. Which again, there's nothing wrong with that.
That's what
that's what's cool about just the gun industry in general. Is you can pick and choose whatever you like.
You'd be hard pressed to not find a reliable, functioning firearm these days. What I really like about these two is, as many of you may know, the design started off with the Strike 1 by Arsenal. Now what happened was Arsenal, this is not the same Arsenal that makes AKs, that imports AKs. This was a different Arsenal made in Italy, and they were just making the Strike 1. While they were importing it and selling them here in the States, Arsenal Firearms, I think it was Arsenal Inc. rather, sorry, Arsenal Inc., one that imports AKs, they were like, well, we don't like that. Your name's too similar to ours, and we're just not okay with that. So Arsenal Firearms was like, well, screw that. I'll just rebrand. We'll call ourselves the Archon. They did away with the Strike 1, which there was a limited run. There weren't very many of those. There weren't very many of those being sold in the States anyway. And they came out with this. Then they had the Archon Type B. Then they came out with the Archon Type B the Archon Type B second gen. Sorry.
I'll say you know all this stuff, not me.
And I did a little bit of research. I'm getting things mixed up. I'm not, the one resource for all of it. There's better resources like the Rain 6 YouTube channel. Jimmy does a great job of going over the history and explaining all of this. So please go check out his channel and watch that video. But now we have this as the second gen. We won't go over a lot of the differences in this, A, because I don't have them all memorized, but B, because we're actually going to be doing another video with Jimmy where we talk about these things. At least that's the plan, where we kind of differentiate between the first gen and the second gen Archon Type B. Now, another one of the drawbacks for this firearm is there is not a huge aftermarket support. So mags are not just everywhere. There's not a lot of people doing milling.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to just like walk into your local gun store and be like, hey, I want to grab a couple mags while I'm here.
Yeah.
Again, because they're a little bit more, not mainstream, but they're not as common as, again, like your standard Glocks, Smith & Wessons, SIGs, those kind of big three name brands.
Exactly. But I honestly think they could get there. Everybody who has shot this gun has liked it. They've only had good things to say about it. But there are companies like Iron Horse Firearms who are doing things. You can actually get this gun completely customized or buy it completely customized with including a dot. They'll sell it to you with a Holosun already on there. And you can get it with the comp. You can get an aftermarket trigger that they'll install for you. You can actually get this thing stippled, and I think some of them they're going through DEF CON, I believe, who does amazing work. But the stock one will come with handle it grips, grip, I guess, tape on there already.
Which you were telling me about this when we first got it. Is I didn't even know that that's what this was. I thought it was like a factory
texture.
It's like so it's super clean, which is really cool actually. Mm-hmm. And then obviously with that being the case, if these wear down or whatever in the future from shooting it, carrying it, whatever it may be, you can just switch it out, put some new ones on, you're off to the races. So.
Well, yeah, and what's nice is those aftermarket like grip panels, the tape, super inexpensive. So you could take a blow dryer, heat this thing up, peel it off, put the more aggressive one on there if you want, and you're ready to rock and roll.
Right.
This thing is solid.
Yeah.
Another drawback is there's not a lot of holster compatibility. Now, there are companies that are making inside the waistband holsters, but there's not a lot that make outside the waistband holsters, something you'll see in the B-roll.
I was going to say, who are some of the companies that they could look to if they're wanting to get a holster for this?
Well, and I'll get to that, but what you'll see in the B-roll is I'm using a T-Rex Arms.
the Ragnarok SD,
Yes.
which is their open front or face, bottom, whatever direction you want to call
It
it.
actually engages on the Surefire X300. And you can run it with a suppressor.
That's intended for suppressors, but because of that, since it's an open bottom, is as long as you have the weapon light, again, you can interface this gun with that holster, given the weapon light that it's molded for.
Exactly. And so I've had to use that. There was no problem with that. Other than I had originally, and we'll probably have footage of this too, I had the wrong
attachment
pick piece on the X300.
So the light wasn't staying on.
So it wouldn't actually engage with what you can't see here on the pick rails.
But since then you've changed it and now it stays on.
Oh yeah, it wobbles a little bit, but it stays on there just fine. So I had no problem there. We are going to be doing another video on another Archon Type B that we're going to be getting. This one's going to be a little fancier. We're going to be speccing out a new one. That's actually why we're out here. We're actually on our way up to Vernal to meet up with Iron Horse Firearms, Jimmy specifically, who is the owner of Rain 6, but also an owner of Iron Horse. And he's going to be helping us spec out a new one to make another video with and have some fun with. But some of the people who are making holsters, Tier 1 is making inside the waistband holster. Excuse me.
I think Standard Co. makes them as well.
Standard Co. does make one. A&R Design is going to be making one. And as far as I know, that's everybody. Unfortunately, companies like TRX Arms, they don't get into like these more niche guns.
Yeah, I say again, kind of like limited aftermarket support.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's because it's not as mainstream of a firearm currently, anyways. So that could change in the future.
And I hope it does. Honestly, I think it's such a good gun that if there were more people buying it, they would continue to come out with more iterations of it, improve things that maybe like you didn't like,
right?
Or things that I didn't like. And as of right now, I know they have the Type B and they have the Type D as well. Now the Type D doesn't have this groove that's cut out here. People have said it's for press checking. I'm not sure exactly what it's for, but it does help.
That's kind of what I assumed. I mean, it's nice for. It's just like a little pocket for your thumb.
It doesn't do anything to hurt the gun. The Type D, they've done away with that, so it's just flat across the top for aesthetics. Some people won't like that this is here. Some people think it's ugly, so they made one that's very just clean, straight across the top. I actually prefer this one just for the aesthetics. But
because aesthetics are important. Looking cool is the most important thing. That's the only thing that matters at the end of the day.
There was a video I watched with Scott Jedlinski, the Modern Samurai pistol shooter, the red dot guy. He talked about how not everything you do that's functional, and I'm paraphrasing here, not everything you do that's functional has to also be ugly. You can enjoy the aesthetic of something.
And you should.
And you should. There's nothing wrong with that.
And that is a big perk of this over, again, say a Glock. Because the Glocks are just boring. It's like a Toyota Camry. It's just kind of like, it gets the job done. It might not be the most appealing, but it's boringly reliable.
Yeah.
But this kind of adds like a nice little spin to it as far as, like you said, aesthetics goes. And it's kind of like a lot more pleasing to the eye.
Yeah.
It can open up conversations, if you're at your local range or whatever, like, oh, hey, what kind of gun is that?
Yeah.
But so, I mean, it's not that it's just a novelty, because it is practical as well, but it's kind of one of those cool little, I guess, novelty items, in a way.
It's just something different.
Yeah, it is.
Something else that we need to talk about is the comp.
Let's talk about it.
So the comp is designed and made by Iron Horse Firearms. Currently, they don't offer a version with a pick rail at the bottom, so this actually connects to the pick rail. It's actually really
then you have your just two little Allen head set screws in the bottom.
Yeah, and it just screws into these metals that slide, these pieces of metal that slide into the pick rail. You screw them into there.
So it's relatively easy.
Yeah.
Like you need an Allen screw or an Allen key, and that's it. So.
Yeah. Now, when we're using the comp, we did notice some reduced muzzle flip. What we noticed was about 30%. It's about 34%, and which is what they advertise. The Compensator does go for about 210 to maybe 250.
So that would be a good option if you're shooting competitions.
Yeah, if you can find a holster that would fit in. If I guess that's kind of competition.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because we noticed watching the slow mo with and without the comp, you can return onto target and get more shots off quicker over a string of fire with the comp versus without the comp. So it is effective in the role that it's supposed to play.
Yeah, so
it works.
Do with that what you will. Do with that what you will, I should say. Sorry, can't speak today. What I'm thinking. I've already got a Glock. If I were to add this to my collection, I had a holster for it. My experience with this, I'm going to start carrying this if I get the chance. So
I wouldn't hesitate to carry it.
yeah, I mean, it's been great. I like shooting it. I like the ergonomics. I like the way it looks. I would carry this if I had the chance.
I will say, a lot of the things that you will spend aftermarket on your Glock, as far as like, again, stippling or getting the trigger undercut, which is a common thing that a lot of people do, almost equates to the sticker price on that out of the box, which you may or may not be able to tell, but it's already undercut. Again, it's got the good texturing on it, different offerings. So, I mean, if you're kind of comparing apples to oranges in that sense, you're kind of breaking even on both sides.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, some people have Glocks that are like almost $2,000.
Yeah.
And that's including the price of the Glock, obviously. But if you were to get
And
this
then they
thing,
spend another $1,000 to $1,500 on it in upgrades. They put a different trigger in it, which
well,
that trigger is better than,
that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
like you get like a $600 trigger or $600 Glock.
Mhm.
You end up putting so much money in it that now you have a $2,000.
Yeah, you spend $250 to get it stippled and undercut. You send it out to get the slide cut. You know, you do your, like you said, the trigger, which is going to be a couple $100 depending on where you go, what you do, all with that. So, for out of the box to box, that's something to think about.
Yeah, and
For sure.
You'd be spending a lot more to get your Glock to this level. Is kind of what you're saying.
You would. Yeah.
And I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. And of course, there are companies like I mentioned. Iron Horse Firearms is doing stuff where they can sell you a gun, either the basic stock package. They also have other iterations where they come with a dot. They come with a dot and a comp. They come with a dot, a comp, and a stipple job and an aftermarket trigger. And that gun would be ready for competition, or you could carry it and just burn it down at the range.
Yeah.
Good option. We should also thank our sponsor, 801 Weapon Works, who
Yeah.
provided the ammo to shoot this thing. 801 Weapon Works, Colton, the owner of 801 Weapon Works, he will help you
Local,
build.
yeah. Well,
Local guy to Utah.
Local here to us, here in Utah.
Yeah.
But also you can outsource wherever you're at, whatever your needs are.
Mm-hmm.
But just a really good friend, a really good dude. Again, we've been shooting with him a lot. He's always there for us no matter what we need. We'll always find you the best deals. If you're having trouble finding, certain things in stock, whatever, he can usually hunt them down for you. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes there's things that are just on back order.
Yeah.
He can get you on the lists. Whether it's guns, ammo, accessories, optics, lights, whatever you need, kind of like your one-stop shop, so to say.
He's a one man running a gun store.
Yeah.
Now his bread and butter though is building custom AR-15s
Yes.
and AR-10s. They're a little trickier with the AR-10s, but he can explain that.
AR-10 variants, right? So you get
Right.
like your, the 6mm arcs and that sort of
6.5
stuff.
Creedmoor, the 308s.
Yeah, and another thing is he's big into hunting too, so if that's what you're kind of like along the lines that you're looking for, he can really set you up
He's
good
well versed
in that aspect.
in both for sure. So go check him out. 801 Weaponworks, 801weaponworks.com. Go check him out. He does an awesome job. Also follow us at High Standards Group. Follow my personal page, Dimpled Primer.
My personal one is Offhand Dominant.
Thanks for watching. Where are you going?
What?
Get in the car.
I'm hungry. I'm going to
Get in the car.
I'm going to get some food.
Get your ass over here. Get over here. What the hell were you thinking?
I'm just tired. I want to go home. I need a zen.
Jesus
I need to take the edge off a little bit.